Hello martial arts families, John Orndorff here from the North American Martial Arts Institute, and I am not at the North American Martial Arts Institute today. Today I am at my home, and I'm going to film this here. We'll get a nice little Tae Kwon Do class going for you. The meat of the class is going to be self-defense based, and I am going to be obviously training outside, and if you want to train outside, you can do that as well. It's a good thing to do because you got to learn how to train or how to defend yourself in different types of environments. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Chumbi, cheerio, Kinye, and Burrow. We'll do little flags first. Anjo, and Moke. Burrow, go set. Cheerio, Kinye. All right, so get our warm up moving. Let's start with the neck roll. I hope your day is going well. And head up and down. And turning left and right. Do some shoulder rolls. And roll them the other way. Love those shoulder rolls. And arm swings forward. And other direction. Now out and in with the arms. And up and down with the arms. And jog in place. Oh, it's nice out. You can see the storm clouds coming. I think it's going to rain. Let's do some straight punches. Uppercuts. Hooks. Lose the jog there. Work some punches across the body. Gonna turn. Rotate with that punch. Uppercuts again. Up, 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 and straight. One more time. Okay, this time jumping jacks. And double time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Great, let's do a hamstring stretch. Other side. First side again, a little bit lower this time. And second side, second time. Let's grab a leg up behind and do a quad stretch. Keep that balance. Other side. First side again. And second side, second time. Don't lose that balance. All right, let's do some squat front kicks. Squat, kick, squat, kick. Now, as we're doing these, one of the things we were talking about a while back, I think in one of the other classes, when you do a front kick, I'm going to crunch on that side. So I'm going to crunch in to that side, and there's a little bit of a rotation or pivot on that foot. Now I'm stepping into the pivot because I'm on the grass. I'm actually sinking into the ground because it's still a little wet from the rain. But crunch in. Think about taking your elbow to your hip, because that's what makes a powerful front kick. You're using your whole body, not just your hip flexors and your quads, okay? A few more on those. Crunch in. Like you're doing a side crunch. You should feel it in those obliques. Now, side kicks. Squat, side, alternating. So it's a little bit of a challenge where I'm at because I'm actually on an incline. You probably can't tell, it's about a 15-20 degree incline. So it's kind of hard to manage some of this stuff without losing your balance. But again, it's good training. Diverse physical conditions. Very, very beneficial to your training. Now, squat back kicks. One more each side. Great, let's take it out into a center stretch. Push back, fingertips and heels. A little trickier to do here on the grass. Walk forward, hips drop and twist. Again, working on those hip flexors here. And one more center. Wonderful. Let's walk the feet in. Okay, so we got a warm up in, we've done some stretching. Now, this is where I'm going to ask you to hit the pause button. Here's the deal. You got testing coming up, and with testing, you need to make sure your requirements are good and solid. You got to practice them all the time. So I'm going to ask you to practice your testing requirements. Now remember, if you're testing for a white or yellow belt or orange belt, you don't have a form. It's self-defense combinations. Work your round kicks, your side kicks, and your front kicks from all positions. Remember, straight punches, hook punches, uppercut punches, knife hands and ridge hands are also good to know, okay? Self-defense combinations, your punches and kicks, I'm going to ask you to practice those if you're testing for yellow or orange belt. Purple belt and above, you got a form on top of other things like your testing kicks. So make sure you guys work the form. If you are a green belt or testing for green belt or above, let's make sure you're also working on your previous forms as well, because there's a very good chance we're going to ask to see those during your test, okay? So I'm going to ask you to take 20 minutes right now and pause this video. Take 20 minutes and work on your testing requirements if you're testing for purple belt and above. Yellow and orange belt, if you're testing for one of those two, my suggestion is 15 minutes should get you by. All right, so I'm going to ask you to do that. Hit the pause button, get that practice in, and then come on back. I'll be waiting for you. All right, if you can't hear that, it sounds like Dakota's a little upset. Hey, here's what we're doing next. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on some self-defense things, and we're going to talk about self-defense as well, okay? So let's be straight up. When it comes to self-defense, if you have to defend yourself physically in a situation, a lot of things come into play, okay? So clothing is a good one, okay? If I have I don't have regular clothes on today, but if I had jeans on, I might not be able to move or kick as well as I normally would in my training pants. If I have shoes on, they can make a difference as well. Tennis shoes versus dress shoes for guys, and for the ladies, you know, regular shoes versus high-heeled. Obviously, high heels puts you in a tough position when it comes to self-defense. So, you know, being aware of how footwear affects you, your clothing affects you is very important. Also, your surroundings can make a big difference as well. Is the ground dry or is it wet? Is there snow on the ground? Is there ice on the ground? Are you on a hard surface or soft surface? Are you at the beach? You know, because if you're at the beach, it's going to be harder to move. It's like trying to move in quicksand, okay? If you're on concrete, you might be able to move quicker, but if you fall, there's a good chance, there's a fair chance you could get hurt. And then also with grass, you know, grass is easy to slip on, especially when it's wet. So these are all things to take into consideration if you ever find yourself in a situation where you think you have to defend yourself. So with that, what we're going to do is we're going to cover some techniques. And like I said, I'm on an incline. That's another thing too. Who is it? Miyamoto Musashi, one of his favorite or famous phrases was, you know, in battle, always try to have the high ground. Right now, I don't. If you're standing in front of me, you've got the high ground. And so you're in a superior position. Number one, you don't have to kick as high to attack me, okay? I mean, for me to kick at the same target that you would, if you're going to kick at my knee, it would be tougher for me. I have to kick higher, all right? So you have an advantage. Also, you have a gravity advantage potentially with your strikes. And that gravity advantage also comes into play if you're going to leap onto someone, okay? So those are all things to keep in mind. And those are just some of the things. I can't go over everything. We'd be here for 2 hours. And I still wouldn't be able to cover everything. Anyway, my point is, just you need to be aware of your situation and you need to assess it if you're ever in a potential physical altercation, okay? So always, if you think things are gonna get bad, always make sure that you pay attention to the surface that you're standing on, what you're wearing. And then, you know, you also need to take into consideration what the other person's abilities could be, or maybe what they are, if you know what they are. And again, that's another topic that would take us hours. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to focus on ourselves right now and what we need to be aware of. So, like I said, I'm on an incline, so I have to pay attention to my balance. I'm going to turn sideways. For my balance to be good, it needs to be slightly forward if I'm on that incline. If I'm facing this direction, if I'm facing up the incline, if I'm facing this direction, I have to keep it a little bit to my left because the hill goes up to my left. Not a whole lot, just a very slight tweak in my balance, okay? It's kind of the same thing here, only a little bit more. And I'll be honest with you, I'd rather deal with somebody probably from this position than from this side type position, because that left to right balance is really, or it can get really tricky, okay? Right here, it's not so much left to right, it's front to back, and it's easier to manage, okay? So with that, we're going to cover some basic strikes. Now stepping in, everything's the same on your straight punches. So join me if you would, and if you can be on an incline, that's great. If not, that's fine too. But like I said, if you can be outside, that's also a plus. So 1, 2, doing your straight punches, coming straight in, right? Still stepping on that jab, and I want to rotate a little bit on that reverse punch, right? So I get some power in there, all right? It's good to practice both sides. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? Hook punches, uppercuts, all the same stuff, okay? But remember, I'd like you to step on that lead because you got to build momentum up with your body. And that is an easy way to do it, just by the step, okay? Whether it's straight punch, hook, uppercut, whatever you do. All right, so now we get to kicking. Now, when it comes to self-defense, kicks should be different than they are when it is a sparring type situation, okay? So, for example, sparring, I might want to kick to the head for extra points. But problem with that is, in self-defense, I'm compromising my balance, my kick is going to be slower, so I have to take those things into consideration. So with that, my kicks are going to be low, all right? And I'm telling you, knee target, groin target, that's probably as high as you really want to kick in a self-defense situation. You can kick this high, but the thing is, that leg gets up higher, and so it's harder for you to stay behind the kick. And you're going to lean back slightly, and that again compromises your balance. So when it comes to self-defense, kick levels need to drop, okay? So if I'm doing front kicks, kneecap, okay? Or maybe a rising kick to the groin. And a couple ways to do that rising kick too is literally just a rising kick, like I'm going to strike with the top of my foot, all right? That is one way. The other way is to strike with the ball of the foot. So I pull the toes back just like I do a snap kick. You can see that in my shoe. I don't know if you can, so I'll take my shoe off. Here, okay? That's a snap kick versus here, the rising kick, okay? So those are things for you to keep in mind when you're practicing those kicks and you're focusing on the self-defense aspects of your training. Now, that's just front kick. Side kick, same basic targets. I'm going to be stomping to the knee, but if I do this great big high chamber, it's easy for people to see, okay? And it's easy for people to avoid. So I don't want to chamber too high, all right? If I do this great big chamber, like I'm gonna throw a head high kick with a side kick, it's too much, all right? Chamber needs to be quick, and the kick's gotta be fast, like that, okay? Now, we talk about side kicks and having your foot straight across in that side kick so you have a wider surface area to strike with. It's like having a bigger hammer to hit the nail, which is always a good thing. But also, this can be tricky from a self-defense standpoint, because in order to get that position, a lot of times I'll have to turn a little bit more. So I want to make sure that I get that foot as level as I can when I'm doing that kick. When I say level, heel this way, toes the other way, like so, okay? I want to get that as level as I can, but I don't want to compromise my balance too much. So pay attention to that as well, okay? If I'm doing a side kick like this, and I'm going to go stop on the knee, hey, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that's a terrible strike. Because if it works, it's not, okay? Talking about round kicks. Round kicks, we're looking at striking maybe the side of the knee, okay? So with the roundhouse kick, knee comes up, and we're going to drive into the side. Now, same rules here. I got to pay attention to how much I pivot. That round kick, I'm going to pivot enough to get my leg in a position where it's going to strike the side of the knee straight on. So I want to hit it like this. So I try to make the knee collapse with my kick. And that takes practice. Let's just put it that way. But again, we need to practice these not just on the mats at the school, but also in the driveway where there's gravel, in the grass where it can be slick sometimes, in the sand, on a wet surface. All of those types of training are really important in order to help you develop those self-defense skills. And you know, hey, we all train because we like to do our punches and kicks, but a big motivation for our training should be what? It should be self-defense, okay? Not our only motivation, but that should be a big part of our training. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put together some self-defense combinations. One of my favorites. You've probably never seen this one before. So from my sparring stance or my self-defense stance, and with my self-defense stance, I go to an open hand position, okay? And the reason for that is I don't want to, number one, I don't want to look overly aggressive if I think maybe we can de-escalate the situation. So if we're arguing, okay, and I'm concerned that maybe they're going to attack me, hands up like this versus this, which one looks more threatening, okay? Not this. This one looks like, hey man, I just want to talk to you, okay? So keep that in mind. This is the best way to go, I believe, in your self-defense stance early on, okay? I'm not saying never strike with a punch. I'm not saying don't go to this position at some point if you need to, but here's the other part of it too. If somebody can see us, maybe they can't hear us. They're in a building and they're looking out the window and they see a verbal confrontation turn physical, and maybe I'm the martial arts guy, but this person over here is the one who's, you know, causing the trouble and about to start something physical. Once I come up like this, what those people see is somebody with their fists up, ready to go. This doesn't necessarily look that way, so be smart about what you do, okay? So going back to that combination, one of my favorite self-defense combinations, number one, left palm heel to the chin or nose. I get that question a lot. How about striking to the nose? I've had my nose broken 3 times, and I tell you, anymore it just makes me mad. You know, and I've had it really broken. So, you know, here's the deal with that. Some people it will affect, some people it won't. Let's go for something that has a higher percentage of being useful, which is the chin, okay? So chin, side kick to the knee, and elbow to the side of the chin. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, okay? I'm telling you, this is one of the best self-defense combinations out there. Now, we use, oh, I hear a little thunder. What a great day to do a video. So we've got some other things going on with this self-defense too, you know, elbows and knees, elbows, like so. You know, those are in close types of strikes. So maybe if we have to defend ourselves, we start here, but maybe they move in, so I have to fire the elbows. Or maybe knees to the groin. So here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. I'm going to challenge you to put together combinations for this. You know what? It's raining a little bit. Isn't that awesome? So I suggest 4 to 5 moves, and you putting them together. You can start long range, go to closer range, and then very close range. And that's a good combination right there. Or I can start close range, like somebody maybe they've grabbed me, so I do a palm heel in close, or elbow, maybe two elbows with the same side. And then I do a longer range technique, like maybe a palm heel to the chin, and then front kick. And I'm going to suggest you put these combinations together and do them on different surfaces. Now, the nice thing is, again, we're keeping everything low, so we're pretty safe. So when it comes to balance, I'm not too concerned about it, as long as I keep things low. The other part of the balance, though, is when we put a lot of power into it and striking something versus striking nothing. Because I can throw a really strong front kick here and feel good about it. But if I'm going to hit somebody, I have to pay attention again to my position. Like I said, I'm on a decline right now, so if I did a front kick and I didn't have my body forward enough, I'm going to be in big trouble. Okay? So I'm going to ask you to put some combinations together, and I'm going to ask you to do that on inclined surfaces and on different surfaces than you're used to working on, okay? Different surfaces than the mats, like the grass, or in the driveway, on the concrete or gravel, whatever you got. I'm going to ask you to try this, though. Put these combinations together. Another couple of combinations that I really like, leading off with a back leg roundhouse kick. And then coming in, a couple palm heels stepping in and grabbing the head, okay? And then from here, I can drive knees up, and I'll do two the same side, okay? Or you have that option. There's other options too. I can do one and drop that knee down or leg down in front and drive the other one up so it looks like this from this side. I do a clinch, drive one knee up, that one drops down. This is a good thing to practice. And the other leg goes back, so I'm in another good stance, and I drive that knee up. We call this a switch knee. Knee, and then I switch. Knee, then I switch. Knee, then I switch. This is a great exercise for you to practice. In fact, I can't tell you how important it is when it comes to things like self-defense. Not just doing it in the air. You can do it on a bag. You might not have the clinch the same, but you can grab a bag and fire the knees on there, just like that, okay? So that's my challenge to you, is to put together combinations with those types of tools. One last thing I'm going to throw in, if we did elbows, knees, punches, some basic kicks, is body blocks. And body blocks is just bring the knee up to block a strike. And it's not a bad idea to practice this before you do a combination. So maybe we're here, the confrontation is taking place, and they pull the trigger on me first, right? So they throw their strike, so I have to block. And then I come in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and do the knee, and then back out, okay? So let's try some diverse surface training. Now, my suggestion is you do this in a bunch of ways, not just practicing it in the lawn one time. Like I said, the driveway, on an incline, on a decline, like this. When I'm facing this way and I throw that front kick, it feels good. It feels like that front kick's going to go forever because of the decline here, all right? Because I'm on the high point, like so. The same thing with any side kicks. So I'm going to ask you to practice that. And my friends, I'm going to have to stop the video because it's starting to rain pretty good. I want to thank you for watching, number one. Number two, I'm begging you, please, to practice this stuff just as much as I want you to practice your requirements, because it is testing is upon us. Okay, so please get that stuff taken care of. And sounds like we're going to see you very soon. Next week we'll have classes rolling again, okay, in the school. So thanks for hanging in there with us. We appreciate it. We love you guys, and we are very excited to see you soon. We're going to go ahead and do flags. Jubi, Choya, Kinye, Boro, Anjo, Mokyo. Boro, are we set? Choya, Kinye. Again, fellow martial artists, thanks for watching. We appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you back in the school very soon. Kamsahamnida.